Much for joining us today. I'm grateful to have everyone here. My name is Oluwase Akiomi. I'm your host for today, and I'm the co-founder, or rather, I'm the founder of Arts and Culture. Today with us are distinguished panelists, Dr. Kunle Adeyemi and Mr. Bumi Babatunde. Thank you so much for joining us today, sirs. Distinguished panelists, because we spent so much time, especially with the network. If you could please just give us a brief background, 2 minutes, each and every of you. We can start from Dr. Kunle Adeyemi, please. So, sir, if you could please give us a brief background about yourself and your journey so far in terms of arts. Okay. In the art industry.
Is it with Kunle Adeyemi or Bumi Babatunde?
Kunle Adeyemi, please. Sorry, you, sir.
All right, okay. I'm Dr. Kunle Adeyemi, born a little over 60 years ago. I had an apprenticeship training in fine art with a local signwriter painter and all purpose artist in the early 1970s while I was still in the secondary school in Ondo. Courtesy of the ingenuity of my first visual arts training at the famous Yaba College of Technologies Art School, and graduated as a painter in 1984 under the tutelage of Professor Yusuf Grillo and Kolade Oshino and some other lecturers. I later went back for further studies at the University of Benin and graduated with a Masters of Art MFA in 1999. Also, a diploma in education. I later bagged as the Abraka Delta State. I have worked severally with many art, printing, and publishing organizations. Presently, I am a chief lecturer teaching drawing, illustration, and printmaking at my alma mater, the School of Art Design and Printing, Yaba College of Technology, particularly the specifically graphic design department. I was a former HOD of that department. I've attended and spoken at conferences, seminars, workshops, and locally and internationally. Two-term chairman of the Society of Nigerian Professionals. I had over 20 solo exhibitions and several group shows locally and internationally. Am I okay with you now?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. If Mr. Babatunde could please tell us briefly a brief background. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Speaking?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My name is George Olu Babatunde. Was born 1957. I'm a senior citizen now, and specialized in sculpture since 1983. I went straight into practice. I left school. I did my youth service at the National Theatre, one of culture then, and immediately after my service, I was asked then by the humbly declined. I told late Yusuf that I'd rather be given a space in the studio to practice than for me to pick up a job. Priced, National Theatre, because it was attached to the National Gallery then. And I've been practicing there since then. The National Studios are metamorphosed into the Universal Studios of Arts, which was founded by many of us who came at different times to the National Studios then. Late Mr. Pakeye was the eldest. A lot of other artists were there. Mr. Ojon, Olaku, Joe Musa, Felix Osemi, and many people were there. So when it was time for us to leave the studios, because it was in a deplorable state, where we secured a space next, to the National Studios, to National Studios, which now we named the National Universal Studios of Arts, National Theatre. And since then, we've been practicing. I've been practicing as a full-time artist. I didn't pick up a job. I believe maybe, like some people said, I might be one of the few people who didn't take up any job after school except full-time student practice since 1983.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. Well, it's indeed that's indeed very interesting. For most of you that don't know, And because we spent so much time due to the network, I would like to explain what the platform for art and culture is all about. Now, art and culture is a platform that serves to showcase Nigeria's independent creative art community and its vibrant culture. Now, this dialogue series was introduced in order to get like a deeper understanding of cross-sectional views from relatively experienced bodies of experience within the arts community itself. We're grateful to have our panelists here, and we can as well start with the questions itself. And we'll start from, let's start from Mr. Babatunde, and maybe we'll proceed to Dr. Adeyemi. Could you kindly expatiate further, like tell us about your journey, like what has inspired you? How did you find yourself in the position that you are today? Coming from school directly into practice, you didn't work for anyone.
Really my journey, my decision to go to full-time practice was taken around 1982 when I did my 3-month industrial attachment in the studios of late Isiaka Osunde. That was my head of department, one of the lecturers in the Yaba of Technology. He was in charge of the sculpture department. I had 3 months training under him there, and graciously he exposed me to the opened his private collections of some of the works he did back in Russia, and so many things he has done, how he organized his studios and all that. He particularly impacted me heavily. And I must tell you that instantly I made up my mind that I was going to practice full-time. I was going to go into full-time practice and showcase what I have as a talent. Even though there was no industry then, there was no industry as in production, commerce, and promotion. Few agencies like the cultural centers of embassies, Italian embassy, Goethe Institute, and some of them like that. The art practice was not too vibrant. People were doing it. We had some like Jackie Australia, as I mentioned, Professor Grillo, and many of them who were in the fact that I could still keep on working. And suddenly, somehow around 1980, and he came around, he saw our work, was brought in there by Mr. late Shina Yusuf. He saw our works and he was baffled. And we approached him through Mr. Yusuf. If we had the programs and exhibitions, because there's so much to that, it's like and we're given a space to have a show in 1988 at the Goethe Institute. It began a journey, a wonderful journey of after the exhibition came to our studios, they came to me to check on us, asking questions about what we do. And one of them was serious interest in our works. Mr. Abayomi did a lot, but it's one of the people that would say started this industry today in the dealership that he started then. He began to take our works to certain places we couldn't get to. And it encouraged us a lot to start working. It thereafter, the door for so many of the opportunities that we had to have, shows to begin to practice full time. Oftentimes, in those days, it was commissions that artists depended on to work, particularly sculptors. They depended so much on commissions to work. But this time around, this opportunity that this man gave us then, we're able to produce works on our own, our creative works, to sell. And since then, we couldn't look back again. The industry has grown and has grown mightily from that moment up to now. I remember that so many galleries that came up, they had some stints with us at the studios. Like the My Dream Gallery, he was always coming to the studios to receive some tutelage about art and how to do the business of art and all that. Russia, that's a signature gallery. He used to visit our studios then too. We had a lot of interaction and so many other people who were coming who began to trade fully as entrepreneurs in the creative art industry. Then not in they're there now by God's grace. And so the story has changed. A lot of students, a lot of people have taken after us by God's special grace. And we're still counting by God's grace.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. So I mean, it shows that you had to go through mentorship for you to get to where you are today.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. After my youth service, in fact, during my youth service, I still had a very serious close contact with Mr. Osunde, who had a lot of job for me that I was doing for him. So many pieces that I have to render for him. And I picked up so much, working with him. And one of the things that stabilized my focus as a professional, full-time professional sculptor.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So, sir, thank you so much, sir. If we can hear from Dr. Adeyemi. Sir, can you tell us?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you tell us briefly? I mean,
okay, the journey.
Yeah, your journey so far. What you've experienced. Well, what inspired? Okay. How did you find yourself in this the position that you are in? And
all right. While I was introducing myself, I said I was the general purpose artist. As a sign writer, took me to, and as soon as I come back from school with my bicycle, I'll park shop, and then I'll begin to learn from him. And that was the implementation of my father. He saw that, and he want to take it up that I should possibly be an artist. And the man's name, unfortunately, is linked now. It's Bimpoli Art Studio. And the experience, the journey is still on, 60 years and still counting. Now, what happened is that afterwards, I came to Lagos in 1977, 78, and thereabout. I was admitted at the Yaba College of Technology. And of course, some of us in that old school, we have the opportunity privately, sometimes officially, to work with some of CWES now. They call it CWES now. As at that time, it is called industrial attachment. And from there, I served Folade Oshinowo. I was so close to Folade Oshinowo. And that made me to learn the trade, the art of actually working as a studio artist. Because these people that we mentioned, they are very enthusiastic about their practice, and they don't joke with it. And from there, I started learning the ropes. But essentially, what inspired me is my environment, the philosophy of hard work, sincerity of purpose, and the consciousness of reproducing my kind. Just like we mentioned below now, we mentioned Kolade Oshinowo, we mentioned Isiaka Osunde, we mentioned some of these Wangboji. I want to reproduce my kind. And so I try as much as possible to help people, particularly the younger ones, who, again, particularly my neighborhood, who I see this type of traits in. And then those are some of the things that inspired me. But as an artist, yes, the environment, yes, some of these things that we see on a daily basis help to inspire on. But basically, the traits come within. Some people could be inspired by the environment, but not making anything with it. But a lot of us, we tapped under these masters to those things that are not taught. For instance, in glass, and some of these other projects that only professional artists handle. were actually not. So you need to serve under the master to get that idea. So those are some of the things that we went through, and today we are better for it. But we form the block, we meet them regularly, and at that, some of these things work together, and that's how we have actually been on all this while. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So please, as the panelists are talking, we would be accepting questions, please. If you have questions, you can as well drop it in the chat. Thank you so much, Dr. Adeyemi. You spent so much time. The network is not even, hasn't been very encouraging. So we'll just, we'll proceed with the next question, please. And there are quite a number of questions that we'd like to ask. So I mean, regarding your experience, because I mean, with your wealth of experience, can you give us like an overview on what you perceive is the current state? Because coming from, I mean, you've been influenced right from your background. Your parents have influenced you. You've had like you've been influenced by your mentors and maybe your school environment itself and the keywords that you actually had to go through. That is the internship. That has actually influenced you as an individual. Based on your experiences, like, could you give us an overview on what you perceive is the current state of things right now within the art industry in Nigeria from your own perspective, please?
Right.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, we are in the COVID era now. Fortunately, that this is the lowest time I've ever witnessed in art. Like every other profession, maybe medicine now that this is the lowest time. No exhibition, no conferences, no seminars, no workshop, no new residents, no new fellowships. The set of things right now, globally and in Nigeria, we need, like what we're doing now, before now is actually not common. But today, there is this opportunity that you are bringing before. A lot of people can learn from it. And I think this coronavirus, COVID-19, is going to change the tides. So the state of things before now had been very, 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 fairly good. You know, we could be better. But right now, it's put to it. So every one of us, artists, marketers, promoters, people like you, we should put up our thinking cap so that at the end of the day, we can actually begin to go to the drawing board and redraw our plans so that we can fit in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Babatunde, please, if you could please tell us your experience, because currently, I mean, you unlike other artists that, I mean, I've heard of, they first of all go into private practice, or basically they first of all get jobs. You went ahead and established your own studio right from school, and basically you've been able to sustain that for years now. Now you've had so much experience in terms of art business, being an artist, being an educator. Can you just give us a brief overview on, like, what do you perceive is the current state of things within the arts industry right now, from your own perspective?
Well, thanks so much. I would say so far so good. So far so good. The journey I was trying to paint the last time we started looked bleak, but then I was seeing that because we had so many artists ahead of us, so many great masters ahead of us. One of them was, like I mentioned, Shina Yusuf, Professor Reno, and there was one particularly, Emopai, who was, I saw him as a prince of the arts then. He towered, he was so proud. I remember he had this immense industry, which has to do with production section, the commerce section, and the promotion. What I mean, I'm talking of the studios, vibrant studios of artists all over the place now, both old ones and young quality things. And there was no place to go to show it. But today now we have the commerce section, auction houses, the dealers, individual dealers who are doing all these works, curators, having shows, some wonderful things that people are creating now to get. This is one of it that we are doing now. This is promotional part too. You know, those bloggers, outriders, they are the promotional part of it. It is growing. We thank God. I can feel it. I haven't been part of it from the beginning. Then I can see that the future is very, very, very great. We still have so much. It's a fledgling industry. A lot of things are not there. Structures are not there yet. But I can assure you that one of the strengths of the industry now is the productions, which are the studios, vibrant parties who have experienced so far. If the other segment promotions, we are more or less within the space, national space, and we have to step out. We have to do much more. I think I've seen that art, is much more than just showing beautiful art. So many things now are being shown all over the place as art. And if I'm not careful, some people are really taking over the space. So those of us who are active on the stage, particularly in the production level, which are the studios, we have to begin to tell the world what we do. They are saying it, but we are more or less like those artists on those days, unknown artists that names been attached, unknown artists. Now we are creating another level of unknown artists. We have so many artwork there, but the artists are not seen. Unlike the other part of the art subsector, like the urban artists, you see people give them so much publicity, so much contracts with companies. Some little boys are coming out now, and they're making it so big. And we have so many old artists there, visual artists, who are not even known at all, whose works are done in so many places, and people are really, that's not to the value chain for a lot of people. You buy from artists, it goes to other people who consume it, and it becomes a store of value. And we are not really doing the best for ourselves to make sure that we harness the possibilities are within it. What I'm saying in essence is that we are not particularly proving to the world that we have the quality, and we are doing so much to our world. We have to come out verbally, we have to come out openly, we have to come out. Our faces must be seen and shown before we can really impress the government and the global audience.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so very much. And you're right. There's much to be done in the industry itself. Looking at publicity and just publicity and in terms of promotion itself. Within in this part of the world, art is viewed more as a luxury, the luxury affair, and it's for the elitists in society. How do you think we can begin to shift that mindset, or rather the perception of people on these views? Mr. Babatunde, if you could please answer that question.
Yes. Yes, indeed, art is a luxury, a cultivated taste. Yes, it is. But however, it should not be limited to just the elites. Because the thing of beauty, and I think it should resonate all around the entire community, not space of life. But this one, visual art, so much more effort now should be made to make sure that the impact of it is the experience of the entire populace, not just for those who acquire. You may not be able to acquire, but you can benefit from so much that will spread some efforts to give us some very good spaces for stores, for works, like galleries. People can visit such places. People can enjoy what they see, and people can be impacted. Our public art galleries, like public art spaces where government to encourage certain bodies. I was in several times when I go there. Always sure, always I make sure that I visit the gallery, the National Gallery there. You see things that will blow your mind. You will come out of that place and you're a different person there. And this is the kind of thing that government should do. You may not be able to acquire it, but you are blessed by it because art goes just beyond store value where people acquire and sell things or whatever. But how about the policy, our Nigerian space, revolution, in terms of our thinking? If we begin to involve art in certain things that we do, because it's about beauty.
Investing in art today. A good example is the UBA. I mean, good examples are UBA, First Bank, GTB, you know, and some of the other new generation banks. They're actually coming to invest, but that investment is so meager. It's actually not it at all. We should invest for investment. This thing. We should encourage, the system should encourage more art schools to be established. I'm beginning to be worried right now. For some of us who are at this level, we should, aside from having places where we tutelage the younger ones, we should have a school of art. You know, for instance, you'll be hearing of the New York Art School. It took me time to know that it's actually not a government organization. It's actually a private organization, and they are doing very, very well. You know, some of the schools and some of those schools sometimes don't follow the usual pedagogic platform that the normal school have. So they go outside the box and they think outside there and they change things. And so with that, we can actually bring art closer to us. You know, now the middle level people, the bankers, the middle level managers, the lecturers, we must actually educate them again and again about collective art. And as artists, engage maybe in quasi reproduction. You know, sometimes reproduction that may be softer and cheaper for their pocket. So that we'll be able to have art in those spaces. Now, structured value must actually be given to art. Structured value. The system must create it. The government must back it up, you know, and then the artists too must actually work out things, you know, so that the value should be attached. And insurance companies, they have a lot to do to make sure that art has its value. Thank God the secondary market is here. But the secondary market, you know, operated by 1-2 persons throughout the whole year is actually not good enough for a country of 200 million people. So market, let people know that art is investment. You know, when you invest in art, you can actually keep it and get it out for sale. So by that, people will be interested, you know, in becoming, in having art by their side. Continue to collect art in one time or another. Thank God that these people that have collected art before are now reaping the benefit, you know, at least in Nigerian circle. People buy works for some few hundreds, and before you know it, in 5 years' time, they sell it for millions. So this one should be encouraged, and then publicity should be given to this type of thing. Art is actually of the elitists, but again, we owe it a duty right now, you know, in this generation to bring it lower. It cannot be for the common, but the common will appreciate it. Prints, you know, reproduction, reprographic prints, but art should actually begin to have that value that we talked about. And at that, we will bring it to the middle class that will benefit the artists as well as the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, I totally agree. As a last year, I was opportunity to visit the African American Museum. And in as much as there were so many collections that the public was quite interested in, especially works of art from past artists, and there were so many questions. And I mean, people just enjoyed the scenery because of so much investment that was made by the government. And I do feel that Nigeria should rather people, or rather the government and maybe private sectors and other people can as well make adequate investment and also get to enjoy art, not just only as a luxury, but enjoy it because it can also serve as a form of hope for individuals. Now, sir, gleaning from your experience, that is Mr. Babatunde, please. Gleaning from your experience in education, or do you know what? Let's start from Dr. Adeyemi. Gleaning from your experience in education, the schools, that is the departments, have a guided curricula for both teachers and students. How far does this meet the present day development in terms of preparing the students for life after school?
Okay, thank you. Schools have their curriculum that they operate, and these are finely crafted. However, finely crafted from the basics. You know, the basics don't change. Principles don't change. It is methods that change. You know, so when the basic principle about drawing, if you take to eternity, it won't change. The only thing is the method that people use, and then it's that method is even in the context of time. Now, today, when we're in school, it is first that you have to do realism, you have to do it to perfection, you have to do this, you have to do this. Today, we overlook some of these things as long as there are some things that you see in that student, you know, that can actually, we need, today is about the right, you know, so structure, that's curriculum per se. But individually, as lecturers, as artists, because of our goings out to other places, to shows, to exhibitions, to places, we have actually found out that we must not confine these students, you know, to those things that we were taught during our days. So we need an expansion, and that's why they are in expansion today. Let me tell you, this is not the question matter. When we were in school in the 80s, we were not allowed to sign our works. You cannot sign your work. But today, you go to HND1 or ND2 students, you know, as soon as they finish their work, they just put their names, you know, and we don't bother any longer. Because you know why? These are things that we see at exhibitions, and these are things that we know that it is timely. Somebody can in the graduate, and if those works are not signed, you know, it becomes a problem. You know, one of our old masters, you know, Professor Grillo, to be candid, you know, during his early production, he does not sign his works. He does not sign his works, you know, and because you will know that this is Grillo. His styles are there, very unique. But at a particular point in time, Marauders came in. His works were stolen, some are plagiarized, and all that stuff. So they had to, some people who bought those works had to take it back to, took the works back to him for signature, so that we know. So the curriculums have actually not particularly changed this so far, but individuals have started changing the system. You know why? Some of us have actually been exposed more than ever before. You know, some of us have gone for residencies outside the country. Some of us have gone to workshops. We have organized things. Essentially, we are working. We know that we are working in the global space, so we don't have any reason not to work with what the global dictates are. And so today, we teach what is in the context of today, and not that we are not too hard on those basic things any longer. But let me remind you that principles don't change. It is the methods that do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. There's some Mr. Babatunde. what is his views? I mean, coming from as the current chairman of Universal Studio Park, you would have observed something. You obviously have a curriculum. Sir, from your point of view, sorry, Mr. Babatune, we would love to hear your viewpoints as the chairman of Universal Studio of Arts. Which serves as an intervention for students, IT students, is mandatory for IT students to actually do their CWEs at the studio. What have been your observations so far?
Yeah, thanks so much for that question. Universal Studios of Art is a private initiative. Some individuals came together to form it, and we've been training students for the past 35 years. 84, 85, that will be training students. And students have been coming from all over the country. Universities, polytechnics, colleges of education from all places. At the point where we're taking students from technical colleges until lately, when we have to minimize the area of concentration. Universities, and we have not ceased from doing that. So, averagely in a year, we have over 300 students that pass through our studios. We have about 4 levels of training. We have people who call trainees, those who have never been to our schools. We have some of them come from the streets, come from places who some of them have even not attempted their wife. We encourage them to train them on the basic aspects of drawing, some measure of painting and sculpture, those who have never been to our schools. And we guide them to return to school. So we believe that will work for them. We don't train apprentices, so to say. We train people to return to school. Then the next level are the COS students, those who come for their 3 months, 4 months training, who are IT students, and those are people who come for 1 year. Some universities for 6 months. We take it come for 1 year, train them, those who are specializing in one area of visual arts, that is painting or sculpture. Then the next level are graduate art trainees, those who are arts and who want to come and study as a master's in studios. So we bring them to mentors. Then we have people who got graduate trainees. They have not been to our schools at all, but they have this talent, and we could see it there, that they are talented, they have and they have passion for it. We train them as well. The last executive training, we have so many people, lawyers, doctors, engineers, architects, who have come to train, even caterers, those who bake cake, who want to master the art of modeling their cake. So we train them, and extract it outwards. Some professionals who want to, some of them have changed, they've made them become artists, so they have the wigs, have syringe. We have all of them like that. Some of our observation is that government, that's what like I said, is a private initiative, and the space for the part of standards. So yes, but we didn't build. They locked us, our studio. I don't think that's the very good thing. It's a private initiative that we're training students for the past 35 years. It's of the Western world. We will have been right for a world, but here we are doing it, free of charge. Because some of them stay in the studios. We have some of them who just see some students come from far and near, from Abakaliki, from Enugu, and they'll come with their load. And they said that come for just attachment. Who gave you the permission to go ahead? He said, yeah, I will send them back. We house them there. We keep them within the studios. Even this long time, some of them people go home. We have to provide for food for them so that we can sustain them in that food. So it's unfortunate that our government is not in any way encouraging, this kind of effort from the fight vacancy. And that is a major area that government has to take on, because university is just one of that. We should have such places all over the place where artists can be trained. Those who who love art, who want to be artists, they can be trained. The other aspect about addition is that Dr. Kule just said something about the curriculum in Yabaten, which is fundamental to the development of art of that school and quality of artists that have emerged from that. Others universities, polytechnic, college of education, they don't run the same kind of curriculum. Our curriculum in school, we found out among the students, of them people do live drawing. And we ask them, what do you do? They just they put a name for it. It's not just students. So they don't have it as a course for anatomical study, like portrait sculpture, like some of the things that we did, some courses that we did, that has to really drill you in terms of knowledge of anatomy and all that. Most of it don't have it. So it means that we have to start from the fresh, from beginning, with them, training them how to observe, how to do certain things, how to, your lines, your basic things. You will think they've never been to ask for something. And when we ask them, we find out that many of them did not even do fine art in the schools, in their secondary schools. How did you get them in? Because there was no space in what they wanted originally. So there was this in that department, and that department will have to justify the whatever government, the hope of government upon them. So they need students. At the end of the day, our big students are brought out of schools. Many of them, they cannot teach very well, neither can they give anything in terms of artwork for them to depend upon or to live upon. So I think government has to look into it. There has to be a unified curriculum for schools across the board. Dr. Adeyemi said, principles have changed. Yes, certain principles have been changed now. It shouldn't change at all. The principles of drawing, of design, of forms and shapes, sometimes they run through all areas of art. Either apply that or plastic art. But we're changing it now. The freedom that is being given to students can only be relaxed when they are specializing. I mean, that's my observation. Can be relaxed when they are specializing, so that they can gain, individual confidence as they keep practicing. But the principles must be rigid. And so collectively, in all our schools, there should be a standard curriculum that is unified among the schools. We are facing so much problem with students who are laboring. We can see some of them really want to learn, but they are laboring because the antecedent was they had no beginning in even first class, and you call them artists. Mr. Oshinawa used to say that, you want to tell me you're an artist, I want to see what you can draw. I think it starts from there. And these are the kind of principles I think I have said, and they're not going to help us at all to develop that innovation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it. The questions have been coming in, and we have quite limited time. So let's just answer most of these questions, please. And please, we can as well make it very, very brief, because we have quite a very limited time, please. So the question from there's an iPhone person. So this person asks, in these days of virtual learning and education, will the distinguished panel be up for providing virtual master classes for young enthusiasts, university and young collector, will you be open to creating online classes and master classes? Let's start from Dr. Adeyemi.
Thank you very much. Yes, virtual learning is the in thing now, particularly in the West. However, visual art is a very special area that the rudiments of knowing it has to be a one-on-one thing. There has to be the lecturer, the instructor, and the students. Now, gone are the days when there is correspondence courses, correspondence colleges. They tried it in art, London Correspondence College. They tried it in other areas, it will work. But in art, they found it difficult and they had to drop because it was not viable. Now, virtual learning in art, yes, today everything is computerized. We will encourage it. We'll continue to encourage it, you know, and a lot of us who are lecturers and teachers of art, instructors of art, we still need to go back to school, you know, to go and learn how these things can be spent. You know, so it's a two-dimensional area. It has to be this way and has to be that way. We know that today, this generation particularly, do not want to wait. This generation particularly do not want to. We are such a fast generation. And so we need to, some of us who are teachers in the art school, go back, learn how to dispense knowledge virtually. And I pray that the principals, that's the organs, you know, in these schools, you know, from the rector to the vice chancellor to the head of department to the dean of those schools, would have to recommend, especially that look, things are changing. And so there is this area of art that we need to learn. And so when these people have to go for the training, they will be able to dispense it properly when we are teaching our students. I think it's very important that we know that those things are coming up now. But it failed in the past because it's assumed that it's a one-on-one thing, you know, but still now it is still a one-on-one thing. In Nigeria, we can actually adapt to those changes. When people go for training, they are back with those knowledge, they will be able to dispense the virtual learning in visual art. You know, there's so many sides to it. Now, you give a person an assignment in art. Maybe he lives in Port Harcourt and the lecturer is in Lagos. He takes his assignment to a mercenary and they help him to do it. You know what I mean by mercenary? Somebody who will just sit down one place and make some money. And he sends this to you that he has done it. You know, you grade him, maybe A or B. Somebody is deceiving somebody somewhere. And so that's why we are very particular that art has to be taught, you know, on a one-on-one thing. And that is this, the instructor and the learner. They have to meet and sit together. It could be easier in other areas, in banking, in business admin, in marketing, in some of these where theories are propounded on the debate. In an own thing, you need to be around and do it. And that is why in those classes, when we teach in art class, you go to the student one by one and you correct them based on what they have done, because the 2 plus 2 in art is not 4. The 2 plus 2 can be 10, 2 plus 2 can be 8, 2 plus 2 can be 1. So depending on the student and the instructor, that is what happened to art.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry, Mr. Babatune, if you could please answer the next question. Now, somebody is saying over the years, art has evolved into becoming what it is today, but we are far from having a structured industry. We as a country are not alone in this. Is this unique to arts? That's the first question. Is this unique to arts?
Please come again. There was a
break.
A disruption to your voice at the point. Hear you again, please.
Sorry, over the years, the arts have evolved into becoming what it is today, but we are far from having a structured industry. We as a country are not alone in this. Is this unique to arts? sorry, that's the first question. Now they're saying doctors, the accountants, the engineers, the architects, e.g., they call themselves professionals who have a somewhat structured industry. If we call ourselves professionals, what do you think needs to be done to bring them to par with these professionals today? I think this person is asking about the structure. What is being done in order to properly structure the industry that we have today, or basically the art industry? I think.
Well, like I said earlier, the art industry is not just the studios. It has to do with galleries as well, auction houses, dealers, and look, of course, for the promotional aspect of it, like this one that we are doing now, those who write and all that. We cannot overstructure art. Anything that is talent-based, you cannot overstructure it. You can only guide it. Yeah, there are so many people who, for instance, did not go to art school. You cannot be a lawyer except you pass through the university system, the law school. Even though law school must be what the body that they regulate the function that they can run it. After law school, they go for after their education degree in law, they go to the law school before they can practice. In art, there are so many people who did not go to art school at all and are practicing. And some of them are really very, very good artists, vibrant. They could have understudied some individuals, and they are doing well. We cannot overstructure it. But however, I think the structure that we might need to put in place should be how works transit from the studios to the collector or to the buyers through the galleries and co. There are so many of our collectors who are very, very our galleries and dealers who are very desperate to put this together. The structure of experience is what we need to put in place. Somebody who has put in, quality time of experience and has been consistent in what he does cannot be lumped up with upstarts. Cannot be lumped up with people who have not cut their teeth or who have not really shown that they have, a future ahead of them. Many people dropped off anyway. Some of those started together in those days in the 80s. Many have dropped off. They're no longer there. So, and anyone who bought their works then may not be able to get, secondary value for it in the auction house and all that now. So if anybody had been consistent in what he does, having, done the works, producing works, consistently quality works, then such a person should have what he does. Unfortunately today, they want to lump up everything, especially artists from diaspora. They enjoy some rave, quite a lot of packaging, which we don't have here. We don't have people who sell our works, who promote our works, who are penetrated in the Western world to promote us, to promote the quality of things we do. Someone like El Anastri was fortunate enough to be picked up by someone in the Western world, and they gave him what he deserves with all the years of experience and quality production. It's not the same thing in this place. That's the structure that I think we need to put in place as to who is doing what is his experience, what is his antecedent, what does he put in, and such people should come and put value for what they do. But it's not like that now. So we need to synergize the studios, the galleries, dealers, and the people in the promotional aspect should synergize to know who commands what. How should this market run? We have seen so many collectors who got some works, bought some works, they brought them out for sales, and they could not get value for what they thought they bought, a long time. So the structure needs to be done in this time. Of course, well, let me just put it that way for now.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Somebody just asked a question. Can we have an arts fund where members of the art society donate artworks yearly and sell online to generate funds for members pension? I think it's talking about the artists community, members pension,
okay,
healthcare. Art enthusiasts should not wait for foreign auction houses to buy Nigerian artwork. So basically, this person is asking if we can have like
it's possible.
Mm.
Now it's possible. Endowments are in different form. Okay. Now we can actually have the government endowment, which what it means is that the government from taxes from all this, and they will take a small percentage of it, of the taxes paid by companies and people. A small percentage of it will be in a pool, and we call it art endowment. That's organized by the government. And that would mean that they will use that to promote art, and there could be private endowment. That I'm sure that person is talking about private endowment made by artists themselves. We know that it's too much, the government is not doing anything and all that. We can now begin to sensitize ourselves, put those things together. It has to be generally agreed, and then bring up promoters that will look at those works. And so when these works are saved, they are actually money in disguise. So when there will be a time, either once in 2 years, or once in 5 years, or once in a year, that these works will be brought to an open space. It will be so much talked about. People will talk about it, and they will sensitize the public, and at that, so much fund can actually be gotten from there. However, after that, the management of the fund is left to fund managers, not actually artists. Artists are not managers of funds. We can actually give it to fund managers who will now appropriate it to where it ought to be, ought to go. But the bottom line, when this stuff is crafted, the purpose, the objective, of those things has to be spelled out, and at the end of the day, we don't go away from that objective. You know what? Some people, when they find out that fund is there, they will begin to write letters. They will begin to come. After all, my work is there. After all, this and that. I want my own this thing. No, the artists are, they are supposed to be rich people, but in this climate, we are still struggling. So this thing, private endowment can actually happen, and the fund properly managed. It's going to be one of the best things that for the art community in this climate, particularly in the West. Let me tell you the example of Sweden. I was there for residencies and workshops. Every company, every year there are art clubs attached to those companies. So the one that we are now saying that we are doing cooperative here, we put money together. They put their money together every month or every paycheck. They put their money, they put a percentage of their money together, and at the end of the year or at the end of every annual thing, they put those monies and we go and buy artworks, and they do balloting for such works. And so money, moves to the artists, and the artworks move to the people. And so middle-level people are able to get works, and it's still part of the endowment. So endowments are different forms. We have actually the government. We have talked about the professional bodies endowment, which is a private endowment. And these are some of the things that we can do to assist the artists or to assist the art in this community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sorry, Mr. Babatunde, Please,
Yes.
somebody just asked a question, and this person said, please ignore my naivety. But what happened to the great art schools like ABU, IFE, UI, and Benin? Are there trust funds that can support or donate funds to these art departments in these famous universities? How can a common man, millennial, and young collectors buy from? No, sorry, please. This question is actually meant to be directed to Dr. Adeyemi, because he's more in this line.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me take it up quickly.
Yes.
Let me take it up quickly.
If you could please, yes.
Okay. The funds can actually be put together. Again, for schools. The schools, the schools they're run by heads, the dean of the school, the head of department, and all that. With these art schools, but from now on, we should encourage the art school to have alumni associations. So the alumni association, and they have friends of the art or friends of the school or faculty or department. So when the head of that unit, I mean the head of the department or the dean of a school will move out. Now today, the deanship job or the head of department job is not just for you to sit down in the office and write report or approve some, for the system. No, you should be one leg in, one leg out. How do I mean? The dean, a good dean should be able, or a good head of department should be able to liaise with the public, so that there could be funds that will be coming from the public to his school. For instance, in the last 3 years in Yaba College of Technology, we were able to drive in some opportunities to the school. In the printing department, we drove in some opportunities there. Some of these things are there, but the head of that unit must be able to be above board to see some of these opportunities. You must drive it, and then you must get the cooperation of the support of either your rector or your registrar or your vice chancellor and all that stuff. Because if they don't cooperate with you, there's just going to be effort in futility. But for us to be able to drive the old schools, the Yabatech, because the funds are dwindling, we need to go back to our alumni. We need to go back to art auctions. We need to go back to general art exhibition purposely, for us to get funds so that the students that are coming in will not be not do much because of a limited fund. It is very important. It is pertinent that the new administrators of these schools should drive this home. They should work together. It could even be inter-schools. For instance, maybe University of Lagos and art school and so art school. We can actually do inter-school. We can do it region, and then we get the fund, and then the fund are plowed back into the system.
Sir, there's an individual that just asked about help in terms of like the medical aspect. Mr. Babatunde, if you could please answer this question. What is the body of artists doing in assisting the artists that are battling with medical issues? This person says we have lost a number of artists due to either ignorance or inability to pay for medical bills. Some of these untimely deaths could have been prevented. Can we collaborate with NMA to educate on prevention? And how do we assess cheaper medical funds, honestly?
Well, the cycle of life, unfortunately, has the trapping of health issues. We have health issues, and everybody deals with it, whether you're an artist or you're not an artist. But if we have witnessed certain number of deaths as a result of artists not being taken care of, one, it could be systemic, and it could be personal. It could be individual. Systemic in the sense that normally every citizen should be able to access art facilities by government. Unfortunately, we don't have it here. And That's what we're suffering now in the COVID something. Everybody's involved, whether you're a politician, you're an artist, whatever you call yourself with now, that you cannot take care of the health of the citizens. So individually too, I think there have been some efforts from some art organizations educating people on how to live well, how to eat healthy, and all that. Very personal things. Then, of course, how about the issue of personal savings? It's very important. Of late, there was an artist who had that issue, and somebody raised the matter in the art community. A platform was open on the WhatsApp page, and I think close to £1 million was gathered from artists, all over the place. And I think we thank God that the artists pulled through. Is okay now. The other one, professional bodies that we have, I think the professional bodies like SMA, for instance, which is an umbrella body of the artists in Nigeria, should put its act together really to be able to take care of things like this. A cooperative kind of thing, arrangement, where artists, whatever you put in, you can gain something back in it. Well, value of artworks differ from individuals to individuals, and it's a very technical and logistic issue that professionals can handle for our sessions like that, whereby like something like cooperative arrangement will be in place to help artists. But much more importantly, I think the system to have very sound health institutions to deal with matters is a problem. It has gone to head now, and everybody has really to take care of it, of himself, of themselves, maybe at professional levels. Now, I would advise personally that an artist cannot afford to eat with all his both hands. We have to learn to save for the rainy day. We are not performing artists. We are not music. We are not musicians. I have no. This is not derogatory anyway. What I'm saying is that we don't have mass appeal, whereby it is so easy for us to attract funds. The little fund we're able to attract by what we do, I think we have to, the quality of the art, of the work of the artist that he produces, and the quantity too, will be good enough for the rainy day. Because it is not just putting money into insurance, but whatever you're able to put together as quality artworks, will be good enough for when you need it. And that's what I have to really put in. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, please.
In addition to that, well, the question says we should be able to collaborate. We should collaborate with the medical partners, from community to community, from hospitals to hospitals. Different elements, we should collaborate with them. We should encourage artists to take life insurance policies. Group insurance policies. Group will not cost so much. Life, may cost you, individual may cost this, but group insurance, we should be able to encourage accident, some of those things. Group insurance is very good. But the bottom line is education, education, education. We should be able to continually educate ourselves on the health hazard of the materials we use, on the health hazard in the system. And so therefore, some of these health issues with the artists can actually be avoided if the artists are educated concerning what is. Some of our materials contain toxins, and so we should be educated about these materials before we start using them. There are some materials that are supposed to be used outside in the open space, and so that the corrosiveness of those materials don't come into your respiratory tract. But you see, artists, sometimes some of us we want to dodge and do those things privately inside a small couch studio, and at that somebody is having present. So education, education, education. But don't forget that these collaborations will be more important. And again, we need to begin to look at proposals that we write some of us should be educated so that they should be able to appeal to some organizations, donors that could fund, health education that concerns the artists, and it's very important that we should begin to train people who will look at that area of our lives. It's very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insights. We really appreciate it. Our time is fast spent, and we'll be taking just one more question, please. And we will start from Dr. Adeyemi. It's been observed that the art industry has been corrupted by certain issues. Take, for example, copyright infringements, fraudulent activities, etc. What efforts have been made to educate members, especially the younger generation, on this evil effects? And how do you think they can be mitigated?
All right. Thank you. Well, from time immemorial, there had always been corruption in every system. Art is not different. Visual art. There have been plagiarism, there have been this, there have been that. What we need to do is to let the government strengthen the laws. Those laws are too relaxed. For instance, those laws are very outdated, particularly copyright and all that stuff. So when we know, for instance, if somebody copyright a work and that person is caught, they will go to court and do all those things. And at the end of the day, he's fined 50 naira, because those things are still in pounds, shillings, and pence. So definitely it will encourage the thief to steal more, because at the end of the day, when they go left, go right, it will cost him just 500 naira or 5,000 naira to pay the fine. So these are problems. Those laws should be restructured and have better teeth, so that when people know that there is a problem in it, they won't go into it. For example, the women now, the ladies are campaigning for a serious penalty for rape. It's not that the law had not been there. The law was just don't do anything, and so before you know it, when somebody commits rape, it is not punished and all that. So people enjoy doing it. But today, now that the campaign is on, I know that a state has actually given a life imprisonment, and you want to dare whoever will do that. I know that some people will still do it, but again, they will be more cautious this time around. So our laws have actually been outdated, particularly the one concerning where the artist is being infringed upon, the rights are being infringed upon. So what we need to do is to move ourselves together and ask for a stiffer penalty or stiffer penalties for some of these things that people do, and they think they have actually, people steal other people's works, people plagiarize other people's works and all that stuff. So we need, it's not only visual art, performing arts is there, the literary art is there. So many of these, even in our schools, people plagiarize people's work, and they dub it and they will take it to get promotion. Today is becoming stiffer. The schools now have the power to actually disengage such staff or dismiss that person outrightly and all that stuff. So it's becoming more serious in our higher institution. So the same should go for the art. If these laws are good, and then the timing, when you are on a case like plagiarism, for instance, it takes as long as 3, 4, 5 years. It doesn't have to be. When those things are established and the witnesses are there and all that, they should go straight and do it. But our laws, our courts overdrag these issues, and people become complacent. People become just people just don't worry about it again. And there was a case of someone, they printed my work and used it for a greeting card, and I got that work. And by the time we were pulling it up and down, my lawyer advised me, say, "Oga, we go take for this thing, oh." He said, "Whatever this guy brings, let's take it." He said, and he went to bring out the law. At that time, it was written in pounds, shillings, and pence. He said the law is still of the old school, old order. And eventually, we had to settle out of court, you know, and so also for some other artists. You can actually do it and drag it and get a name, but do you want to ask yourself, is it worth it? You know, so the law should have stiffer penalties so that artists will run away, or other collaborators will run away from doing this type of thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I would like to find out, have there been, how are you educating the younger generation on these issues? Because I think some of them do not sometimes.
Schools, so when our schools, when we have opportunities, we talk about it, and in methods and materials, for instance, and then the student courses that they take from other departments that has to do with law, and so they educate them regularly now on those things.
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry, thank you very much, sir, for your insights. Thank you so much. Mr. Babatunde, if you could please, we would love to hear your viewpoint on this.
Yeah, I think the issue of corporate abuse that we can see in the art industry could be stemmed by certain institutions of government that have been, they are there by name, but have not been performing. National Gallery should be a regulatory body. But up to now, National Gallery is there by name, not by presence, really. They have a lot of staff there, but they don't have anything called gallery. And so they cannot regulate. One particular aspect of it is what museum has taken over. Museum was able to get the government to make a law that nobody can go out of this country with any artifacts. And for you to go at the museum, the agencies of government are there to check all these things. And except you get the paper from the museum, you can't go. And the museum stretched it to contemporary artworks. Even when they buy work for you, even you as you want to go out with your work and pay for it. Even when you are going for an exhibition, you have to go to the museum and pay for it. The National Gallery is supposed to play its own role as the regulatory body for contemporary visual arts. Unfortunately, it's not working. It's those are. Another agency is the Copyright Council. Copyright Council, when it started, used to have conferences, and they called stakeholders to discuss and to update, the laws. It doesn't happen for a long time. And I wonder, when you go there, it's like red tapeism is a problem. The process of going through and proving, that your right has been abused and you have to get some compensation is so cumbersome that you will not be encouraged to go back to that place again. The other agency is the body, and of course, all the stakeholders in the art industry, gallery owners, emotional agencies should team together like NATA, who have agencies. They work with the government agency like the police, and they go to places where some of these things are pirated or plagiarized, and they take it up. The visual artists have not been able to do that at all. It's unfortunate that we have not been able to organize ourselves to that point. And the last one would be the art schools. It should be part of the curriculum of the schools that the issue of plagiarism should be taught. In my studios, in our studios, we have a time that it is not only about printing and score, but we have a time that we have some interaction with the students, and one of the matters we discuss is about plagiarism. We tell them that an artist who plagiarizes or who copies anyone's work has no dignity, has no self-respect, and is a liar, is not talented. We always robustly discuss. They ask a lot of questions. And we have seen some of them who copy art people's works in our studios. And we call them back to chide them that this is what we have been telling you that you should not do. If you are genuinely talented, then you should be proud of your signature. You should be proud of whatever you do, and not to claim what does not belong to you. So these agencies, the National Gallery, the Copyright Council, the art organizations themselves, the agencies, law enforcement agencies, and also the art groups should be working together to sanitize the system for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Somebody here dropped that the SNE should join in suits against people who plagiarize artists' work, and that the artist should not be left alone to fight it. Really, and I kind of agree with that too.
Yes, yes, that is what was what I mentioned, that a professional organization like NANTAP, or is it NANTAP, for those who produce film, who produce they work with agencies of government, the law enforcement agencies, to impound any plagiarized agent, and people arrest them. And the Society of Nigerian Artists and other organizations like GFA, Guild of Professional Artists of Nigeria, and a lot of them should be working together to see that the artist is not just left in the cold to pursue his own matter, but rather it should be seen as a societal matter. Because cleansing the system, whatever goes wrong will come around eventually. Somebody says it's plagiarized today, it might be yours tomorrow. So it's the reason why we cannot afford to just leave the artist alone to fight the battle. It's supposed to be, a systemic battle.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I quite agree with that. There's so many questions we would love to ask our panelists, but I'm afraid we have to call it a day. Somebody just wrote, young artists should be encouraged to work more and produce good works for their group, for group exhibitions, which can afford them visibility and allow patrons access to them, and also buy their works to help their finances. I feel like Universal Studio of Art actually does that, Mr. Babatunde, isn't it?
Yeah, we had membership levels in the studio. We have the people we call attaches. Attaches released, the word came from those who came to the studio to assist professionals to do their work. Eventually, they to acquire skills, and they become practitioners in the studios. There was a time we organized a program for them. We call it Nugget. Nugget, that is national tutelage. And so we showcase them. Up till now, we engage them in so many programs. Those are all grades, and we see their works are good enough. Some we introduce them. This to many of them really are doing good with their works. Many students who could not afford to pay their school fees, we have so we encourage that a lot across the board in our training, our training cadres. We do that.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. We would like to come to the end of this webinar. Somebody just sent me, we've spoken about structures, Mr. Emeka, spoken about structures. And for others that have so many questions, you can as well drop it on our platform and we'll get back to you. I would like to apologize to our audience today. The network wasn't as great as we expected. We apologize. And obviously, this is, it serves as a learning curve for me, actually. For the next webinar, another webinar will be coming up, and we are still discussing on how to navigate the matters that are actually arising within the art industry. Hopefully, for everything that's been discussed, we can as well use this, or people that learn from this can as well use this as toolkits to solve challenges within the industry themselves. I would like to thank our panelists. Mr. Babatunde, thank you so much. I know that you have a very tight schedule. Thank you so much for having us today, and for the time and for your insights, because we've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much, Dr. Adeyemi. Sir, can you still hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you
so much for your
yeah.
time. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can invite you again sometime.
Thank you so much.
We can invite you again sometime, please. Thank you so much. There's so many questions that are directed to both of you. I will be sending it to you as time goes by.
It's okay. It's okay.
Please.
Thank you so much, Seyi. Thank you,
right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We thank God for the success of this.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be inviting other people as time goes by, because we really need to understand what exactly is going on within the art industry itself, really. As you have rightly said, we don't really have that much awareness within the industry. We really need that. We really need that. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. God bless. God bless you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So bye-bye. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.